Hello everyone, welcome to Turkish Spotlight Secrets, your place for long-form, respectful deep dives you can use straight for text-to-speech. If you enjoy stories told clearly from start to finish, please like this video, subscribe, and tap join so you never miss an upload. Today's episode asks a simple question with a complicated answer. Did Elçin Sengu really decide it's time to marry, and did Barış Arduç actually call to talk her out of it? We're going to trace the rumor from spark to wildfire, stack what's verified against what's speculative, and explain why the internet reacted the way it did. Let's set the stage. For millions, the names Elçin Sengu and Barış Arduç are forever linked to Karalık Aşk, Rental Love, a series that didn't just win ratings, it exported Turkish rom-com magic around the world. Their on-screen rhythm made audiences believe in quick wit, slow glances, and happy endings. Off-screen, life went its own way. Both built separate careers, separate circles, and separate priorities. Barış married and settled into a private routine that rarely spills online. Elçin kept working, advocating for quality scripts and strong female leads, and, depending on which interview you quote, she has been refreshingly candid about wanting stability in her personal life. The latest wave began with a light, offhand line during a sit-down chat. Elçin said she felt ready for marriage. She didn't deliver a drumroll or drop a ring reveal. She simply spoke like an adult about seasons and timing, when you've grown, when you've built, when you want the life you've built to have a steadier home. That would have been a tidy headline by itself, until the aftershock started. Enter the family angle. Relatives, neighbors, and circles close to any public figure have opinions. That's normal in our culture. In this case, the whisper became a chorus. Her family, proud and protective, was said to be reminding her more often that it might be time. If you listen closely, there was no shade in those reminders. Think affection, not pressure, grandmotherly logic wrapped in tea and pastries, happiness likes a roof. Still, when the ex-partner you were once paired with on screen marries someone else, comparison culture kicks in. The line between sincere hopes and social pressure becomes thin as glass. Now, to the part that twisted the narrative into a knot, the phone call. Several tabloids claimed this sequence. After the marriage comments aired, Barış reached out. Not to rekindle anything, not to stir old scripts, but to speak as a friend from a chapter that shaped them both. What did he allegedly say? The viral summary is crude: don't marry, you're too young, but that's not how thoughtful people talk, and it's not how these two talk. The more measured version sounds like this: slow down, choose for yourself, don't let momentum, career, family, media, dictate a decision that only you should own. In other words, not a veto, a caution. Not a command, a care check. Why did that nuance vanish online? Because friend urges thoughtfulness doesn't trend. Star tells star not to marry does. The algorithm loves binaries and bad faith, we prefer context. Let's rebuild the timeline in 3 acts. Act 1, the statement. Elçin voices her readiness. The clip is short, the tone grown up. Comment sections fill with congratulations and protective jokes about future wedding playlists. Family pressure anecdotes pop up in entertainment pages, partly because they're easy to imagine, partly because the public still reads relationships like serialized fiction. Act 2, the call. Whether you believe the tabloids or the quieter sources, something like a conversation almost certainly happened. These two didn't spend years building trust just to pretend each other doesn't exist. If there was a call, the content likely centered on agency, Elçin choosing without noise, without clocks, without echoes from old headlines. Act 3, the aftermath. Rumor outruns reality. Screenshots without provenance claim to quote lines that nobody on record has said. Meanwhile, the two people at the center do what they always do: they keep it professional. No joint denial. No confirm/deny carousel. Work continues, lives continue, the internet keeps refreshing. Why does this pairing magnetize speculation even now? 3 reasons. First, chemistry memory. Audiences rarely remember that scripts are written and scenes are engineered. We remember how we felt. When the faces that made those feelings return to the news cycle, our brains reach for the nearest story shape. If they were perfect together then, surely their advice to each other now must be either romantic or controlling. Real life is less dramatic than that. It's Messier and Kinder. Second, cultural scripts. Big families, warm kitchens, the myth that life's milestones arrive on a clock that ticks the same in every household. When a daughter says, "I'm ready," relatives cheer, and some cheer loudly. It becomes easy for media to write a single note as a whole symphony. Third, privacy by design. Both Elçin and Barış built reputations for letting the work speak. When private people say little, a vacuum forms, and a vacuum draws in fiction. That's not their fault, it's just physics in the attention economy. Let's talk motive. If Barış did call, and remember, nothing about that is on the record from either of them, what would motivate him? Not ownership, not jealousy, not a time machine. Respect. Anyone who's made choices under the glare of a million eyes knows the trickiest part isn't "what do I want?" It's "how do I hear what I want over the volume of everyone else's wants?" A friend who knows your patterns can be a mirror when your reflection is fogged. The best mirrors don't dictate, they clarify. The worst ones distort. Which kind did he allegedly try to be? The former, if you read the quieter accounts. Meanwhile, Elçin is not a passenger in her own story. She's navigated a decade of scripts, endorsements, tours, and interviews with a steady hand. If she says she is ready to marry, that readiness didn't appear because 3 headlines told her it was time. It appeared because she counts cost and joy with the same care. It's possible to feel loved by family, supported by friends, and still make a decision for yourself because it aligns with who you are now, not who people met when Karalikas aired. The fan response has been a study in contrasts. On one side, heartfelt notes cheering for her happiness on her own terms. On the other, anxious threads that read a private call, rumored, as a public attempt to steer her. And then the boundary keepers, the fans who love both, ship neither, and ask the rest of us to keep the conversation generous. Their reminders matter. Don't tag family, don't speculate about partners who didn't ask to be public, don't turn a woman's milestone into a referendum on a man she worked with years ago. Industry voices chimed in with familiar angles. Some columnists framed this as a cautionary tale about timing. Marriage news can overshadow a premiere or distract from a release. Others argued for human timing, that the more famous you are, the more you need to act on your own calendar so your life doesn't become a brand asset. Both positions can be true. The difference is focus, PR survival versus personal sanity. Let's bring the lens back to the 2 names on the thumbnail. The reason their story keeps pulling us in is that it never cheapened itself for clicks. Barış tends to speak through work and through a small, trusted circle. Elçin tends to choose the words that do the job and stop. If we get a clarification from either of them, it will likely be a single paragraph with clean edges. "Thank you, I'm good, here's what's actually happening, please respect the line." If we get silence, that will be a choice, too, the grown-up kind that says, "My life is not an interactive thread." What happens next? Probably something refreshingly ordinary. Elçin keeps reading scripts, balancing ambition with a desire for a home that feels like a refuge, not an airport lounge. Barış keeps protecting the privacy he chose years ago, showing up on set prepared, going home without a breadcrumb trail. If there's a wedding in Elçin's future, we'll know when she wants us to. If there was a call, we'll never need the transcript. The people who matter will have heard each other clearly enough without us. Before we close, a short etiquette guide for anyone who loves these 2. Congratulate without conditions. "I'm happy for you" travels better than "I'm happy if." Don't recruit old co-stars into current chapters. A past partnership is not a perpetual vote. Keep families and partners out of the tags. They didn't ask to be trend topics. Talk about craft. If you need a topic, choose performances, not private calendars. Here's the cleanest reading of the week. A woman said she's ready for a new season. A friend may have called to say, "Make sure it's your season." Everything else is noise we can choose to mute. If this breakdown helped you separate signal from static, please like the video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss our next long-form story here on Turkish Spotlight Secrets. Tell me in the comments, do you think public figures can ever share personal milestones without losing control of the narrative? What's the best way for friends to show care when the world is listening? Thank you for watching. Be kind in the comments, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.